Well, welcome to Technology and Education Today. I'm Richard Smith.
And I'm Caroline Crawford, and we are coming to you from the University of Houston Clear Lake in Houston, Texas, USA.
Where we're discussing the future of higher education in the face of MOOCs and online learning.
It's an interesting topic because things are shifting so quickly. One never knows where it might lead.
Well, so far it's leading to a lot of students who might not normally be able to take a college course,
which is hugely positive,
to being able to take a college course. Now the question is, what is the effect going to be on colleges and universities as they exist today?
Well, that's a good question. Much like when totally online learning started with when WebCT was around and now Moodle started and Blackboard and all that good stuff, there were questions about the quality standard of online courses versus face-to-face.
Mm-hmm.
And there are so many questions about, well, what good is online learning, and why do you think it's as decent a quality as face-to-face? And my argument was always, how do you know the face-to-face is any good?
Yes, they're comparable, but
where's the analyzation there? You don't know what's going on in a face-to-face class. You know what's going on in an online class, one, because it's all archived, two, because it has to be designed out before the student has an opportunity for any learning to occur.
Yes, but given that, let's say that we have a course that offered by a university, and right now these MOOCs are being, let's talk about MOOCs for a second.
Well, that's where I was going, but you cut me off.
because we're talking about massive open online
courses, yes.
Courses. And right now they are being offered by several highly ranked universities.
Absolutely.
And students all over the United States, and more importantly or significantly all over the world, are taking these MOOCs as online courses. Right now you do not necessarily receive college credit for them, but you can receive some sort of credit as they develop more and more.
It can be considered.
And so if these colleges start offering degrees to students via MOOCs, or at least partial college credit at extremely low costs, let's say $200 or $300 to take a course via a MOOC, where you might have 200,000 students in that class, as opposed to $1,000 or $2,000 to take a course face-to-face. Will students keep on taking face-to-face courses and go to school on campus, or will they participate in these MOOCs, get their degrees that way? And in turn, how is that going to affect the structure of higher education?
Well, if we're talking about the quality,
no, not the quality.
I'm
not worried about the quality of the MOOCs. What I'm worried about is the structure of higher education. In
okay.
other words, you have a professor right now is teaching a class of 20 to 30 students, perhaps more in some instances 200 or 300 students with some graduate assistants. That professor is also doing research. If you're now
and service, don't forget the service.
Yes, but
teaching, research, service.
If you now say, well, we don't really need a professor to do research for us, and pay that person $70,000, $80,000 a year at the senior level, or 40 or 50 at the junior level, we can actually have
that depends on what college you're in.
Right, but we can actually have somebody with that we can hire part-time with a master's degree or a doctorate degree, teach a MOOC that somebody else has created the course content and design for, and pay that person, we can give that person $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year, whatever you want to, but instead of only reaching 30 or 40 students each semester, that one teacher is now bringing in students, 100,000 students who are paying $100 or $150 for the course. That's a lot of money that's coming into the university. So the next question you have to ask...
You're working on the assumption that you even need an instructor within
an
online course or a MOOC environment.
But given
the instructor, even though they're being paid to instruct, they're not necessarily there, depending upon the quality of the course, the design of the course.
But given that, how is that going to affect the universities as they start now, that you can have other ways, low-cost ways of delivering instruction, not using a tenure track or a tenured professor, not having a person that's part of the university faculty who does research and applies that research to teaching in his or her classes in a small classroom setting, and also collaborates with colleagues at that university to improve the university as a whole. Rather, you have something which is offering courses and then offering a degree at the end of a set of courses. What will that do to the average university in our country? And most of the universities are average.
Well, the initial question, I imagine, is what is the purpose of a university? And what drives people to want to attend a university?
Mm-hmm.
So if there are strong faculty that the students have heard about, have heard good things about, great researchers, and that's with whom you want to study, that usually develops into the reasoning behind why students want to go there. Because when you're graduated, you've had the experiences with the instructors. You can go out and speak with different people about, oh yes, well, I attended Stanford and I worked with so and so and so and so and so and so. That's huge. And one of the reasons that the faculty choose to accept positions there is because they know that it is a prestigious place to work, because prior quality faculty have framed the reputation.
Right. Okay. So what
So
happens?
if we get rid of the faculty component,
Right.
then what is driving the students' interest in attending these universities?
Well, they'll want the prestige level of having a degree from from Stanford,
But that prestige will drop when there's not the faculty quality that was previously there.
Exactly right.
I mean, what is the point of a university? To instruct the students. Yes, the research and the service and all that, brilliant add-ons. But the point of
Well, I
a
would
mission
say-
of a university is to enhance knowledge and instruct.
I think you got it right in that second statement. It's one, to enhance knowledge, and two, to provide instruction based on that enhanced knowledge. And if you're dealing with people who are extremely good in their fields as your teacher, the chances of you getting a very good education are going to
Stronger.
are
One
much
would imagine
stronger.
should be stronger.
Right.
There should be
Now,
a parallel.
I can see something where you take a school like Berkeley or Stanford or MIT and say, well, we'll offer our degrees entirely online. We will no longer have these professors teaching, but our professors will hire people to do researchers. So you'll become like what formerly Bell Labs was. You have a member of a technical staff, and they do nothing but pay to do research,
Right.
and the research is more or less disconnected from the teaching, because the students taking the courses, of course, are never going to meet the professors. They may see them on video, but they're not going to meet those professors.
But sooner or later, the dirty little secret gets out. For example, there is a university, I know someone who graduated from a university with a degree, and the dirty little secret that that person didn't want out is that it was basically a totally online program. The faculty barely knew who this person was, and the person didn't know anything about the subject area, didn't know anything about research, can't do their job. Dirty little
Well,
secret
but that's
that came out after it was too late.
But that's
So that dirty little secret becomes more and more and more and more.
But that's not true of all face-to-face universities, obviously.
No, absolutely
So,
not. That's just one example of the reputation slowly disintegrates as the quality
okay.
of the student
Yes.
disintegrates, because the quality of the faculty may not be there.
And I think what will
The
happen.
quality of the student experience
I
is
think
not
that
there.
what will happen is that these universities that are advocating the use of MOOCs, and for the most part, these are really your top universities who have the
Time and energy to
time
play.
and energy, the reputation.
Right.
They're always going to have a flow of students to be in those
Currently,
classes.
they will always have a flow.
Yes, and yes, they can do that, but their side effect, their unintended effect, is going to put a lot of pressure on universities that are not top tier, but are competent universities, second, third tier universities, even fourth tier universities can be perfectly competent at
There
what
are a lot
they do.
of brilliant faculty who only are at these universities because they love to teach.
They wanna
They
teach,
love
right.
the students. They love the interactions. They love the ideas that
So
are engaged.
what will happen is that I can see where the fallout from these MOOCs will be, that they will put these small universities out of business as we know them now. Now, I for one can't imagine right now that there are hundreds of thousands or millions of high school seniors saying, thank God for MOOCs. Now I get to stay at home when I graduate from high school. I can study for my college degree at home. I don't have to go to a face-to-face college. I don't have to deal with all those other students. I don't have to go to those parties. I don't have to go to the football games. I get to stay at home and live with mom and dad for the next 4 years. So I think that is something that which will stop the impact of the MOOCs.
Well, not
from being
internationally.
not international.
Luckily, in the USA,
impact.
in our country, we have the community colleges that also help engage.
It'll stop the impact of the MOOCs from totally destroying all the colleges and the universities as we know them now.
But there's also a question about a well-run university.
Right. Aside
the viability of that university.
Aside from that, I think that the idea that students are social people, social beings,
Humans
people
are social people.
and that they will want to, one, leave their homes when they get out of high school, two, be on campus with other students, three, recognize that there's a great deal of value to being on campus and studying with directly with professors, especially at smaller colleges. That, I think, is going to be something that is going to keep a great number of our universities
viable.
Viable once it's realized. The other factors.
Well, we always have the pendulum swing,
right?
Though. And the pendulum is swinging one direction right now, and sooner or later people will recognize this is really not the best idea, and it will start swinging back. Who knows what will happen in the meantime?
You know, it's probably a cost-effective method of providing education for students who would not normally have access to an education, but not necessarily the best method of educating. And we could probably use those technologies in face-to-face classrooms to improve education.
Sure.
One other thing is that we've reached the end of another issue of technology and education
I still say,
today.
though, before we quit, one of the things that is most important, who cares if you have a college degree if you are not a viable candidate to go get a job?
True, but we're off topic. So
I disagree, but okay.
For technology and education today, I'm Richard Smith.
And I'm Caroline Crawford, and we are coming to you from the University of Houston Clear Lake in Houston, Texas, USA. Bye!